There's a way to reach financial freedom that nobody talks about, not because it's complicated, but because it's almost embarrassingly simple. It's not a stock tip. It's not a side hustle. It's not a secret investment product. It's a rule. One rule. And the people who quietly follow it don't end up rich in the lottery winner sense. They end up free. And it turns out, that's a very different thing. Let's start with a question most people never consider. What is money actually for? Most people would say to buy things, a better car or a vacation that finally feels like a break. And those things have real value. That's not the problem. The problem is, what happens when that's the only answer you have? Think about the last time you stayed somewhere longer than you wanted to. A job that stopped making sense. A situation slowly wearing you down. A place you'd have left months ago if only you could have afforded to. Sometimes financial pressure quietly turns survival into a personality. People stop thinking about what they actually want because mentally they're just trying to stay afloat. Most people don't stay because they want to. They stay because they can't afford not to. Because the bills are real, the debt is real, and the runway isn't there. That trapped feeling has a direct financial cause, and most people never connect the two. Here's what the people who do connect them figure out. Money isn't just a way to buy things, it's a way to buy options. The ability to say no, to walk away, to make choices that are actually choices, not just obligations dressed up to look like decisions. The most valuable thing money can buy isn't on any price tag. It's the freedom to not have to do something you don't want to do anymore. And that kind of freedom is built through one rule. And the rule is this: spend less than you earn, invest the surplus, avoid debt. 3 parts, 1 direction. And I know, you've heard this before. Most people have. But knowing a rule and actually living by it are completely different things. The gap between the two isn't a lack of information. It's something else. When it comes to spending, the consumer economy is not neutral. It's actively designed to get you to do the opposite, to spend right up to the edge of what you earn, or slightly beyond it, to borrow freely, to upgrade constantly, to blur the line between what you need and what you've simply been convinced you need. So many times it starts to feel the same. Every buy now, pay later, every 0% financing offer are all part of a system that runs on you spending more than you keep. The rule isn't hard to understand. Following it means going against a current that pulls on you every single day. Every dollar you don't spend is a dollar that still belongs to you tomorrow. Here's what changes when you start thinking differently about money. Most people look at money and see what it can buy, but there's a second way to see it, as something that works. Money that's invested doesn't sit still. It earns. And what it earns on top of that. Over time, that compounding process runs quietly in the background of your life, whether you're paying attention or not. That changes how spending feels. Because when you spend money, you're not just spending the number on the price tag. You're spending every dollar that money could have become. The invisible second price. Take a $20,000 car, even paying cash, no financing. That's not a $20,000 decision. That same money, invested at a modest return, would be worth significantly more a decade from now, and significantly more again 2 decades out. The car cost you the sticker price, plus the compounding you gave up. That's the real number. This doesn't mean never buy the car. It means see it clearly for what it costs, and then decide. The people who reach financial independence aren't the ones who deprive themselves of everything. They're the ones who got honest about what they actually valued and stopped spending automatically on the things they didn't. In the long run, being intentional with your money usually matters more than simply trying to be frugal. Now, the third part of the rule: avoid debt. And this one deserves to be taken seriously. Consumer debt has a quality that makes it especially dangerous. It feels harmless in small amounts. 1 car payment, 1 credit card, a few things on financing. None of it registers as a crisis. And honestly, a lot of people aren't irresponsible. They're exhausted. Exhausted people usually optimize for relief first, and long-term consequences later. What debt actually does is close off the future. Every dollar going to interest is a dollar not working for you. Every minimum payment is a hard floor on how little freedom you have. The career shift that felt too risky. The move you kept postponing. The decision that never felt like a real decision, because it wasn't. The obligation had already made it for you. Consumer debt markets itself as access. You can have the life now, before you've built the foundation for it. What it doesn't say out loud is that you're trading future freedom for present comfort. And that trade gets harder to undo the longer you make it. Avoiding debt, or paying it down aggressively if you're already carrying it, isn't punishment. It's reclaiming the future. Every dollar not owed is a dollar's worth of option that stays open. So you're spending less than you earn. Debt is gone or going. You've got a surplus. Now what? This is where a lot of people stall, because the investing world is deliberately made to feel overwhelming. There's an entire industry built on convincing you that you need expert guidance, a complicated portfolio, a professional managing your money. But here's what decades of data actually show. Most of that complexity doesn't help ordinary investors. It helps the people selling it. Because complexity comes with fees, and fees compound against you just as quietly as returns compound for you. A 1% annual fee sounds like nothing. But over decades, that seemingly small percentage can reduce your retirement wealth dramatically because those fees compound against you year after year. What actually works, for most people in most situations, is much simpler. A low-cost index fund that tracks the broad market. Not a bet on any single company. Not a prediction about any sector. Just a small ownership stake spread across thousands of businesses, essentially the whole economy. When you own something like that, you're making one core bet. That the economy, over a long enough time horizon, keeps growing. That human beings keep working, building, and solving problems. That bet has historically rewarded long-term investors across market cycles. Not smoothly, not without painful interruptions, but consistently, over time. The market crashes. That's part of the deal. Every decade or so, something happens that feels like the end. And every time, the people who stayed in eventually came out ahead of the ones who panicked and sold. The hard part of investing isn't knowing what to do. It's staying calm enough to keep doing it when everything around you is screaming to stop. Spend less than you earn. Invest the surplus. Avoid debt. It sounds like financial advice, but underneath it, it's really a statement about what kind of life you want to build. Because what this rule is actually constructing, slowly in the background, is the moment when you realize you could walk away from something and you'd be fine. When a bad situation is temporary, not permanent, because you have the runway to make it so. Most people never get there. Not because they couldn't. The math is more accessible than the financial industry wants you to believe. It's because nobody ever framed it this way. It's a matter of seeing money as freedom, not just spending power. Investing as building options, not chasing returns. And debt as borrowing against a future you haven't lived yet. The people who follow this rule aren't interesting by financial media's standards. They're not timing markets. They're not chasing the next thing. They're just building, steadily in the background, until one day, without any dramatic announcement, they wake up and realize they don't have to do anything they don't want to do anymore. That's what this is for. If any part of this reframed how you think about money, drop it in the comments. And if someone in your life is stuck in the cycle this video is about, share it with them. Not as a lecture, just a different frame. See you in the next one.